Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity to comment on this motion. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by associating myself with what Senator Soti said, that we run the risk of the House putting this motion to a vote, and if it votes to defeat the PO, which for practical purposes is turning out to be an application, not a pure PO, because if you listened to the County Assembly, they disputed the facts that required a hearing. Much as we may not agree, what I look at, Mr. Speaker, there are two issues which are being conflated. There's the question of quorum. When is a house quorate to conduct business? And there is a house of threshold when voting. So the question of what vacancies can only affect a quorum of a house. In a situation whereby, assuming somebody, we are living in days when people are being abducted. If we had a serious motion on the floor of this house and half the house was 24 senators were abducted and 23 that remained, they will still have the quorum to conduct business, the 23, but the threshold that there should be a supermajority which would require 33 senators would have that motion automatically defeated. So I think we have confused the question of quorum and the question of the threshold to be achieved. And where there's no requirement for a supermajority, like in this House, 15 senators would sit and transact business because the quorum for this House is 15 senators. If it's the National Assembly, the quorum is 50 MPs, members of the National Assembly. They would sit and transact business. But when there is a requirement for a supermajority, it's a supermajority of the whole House. Doesn't matter whether there's a seat that is vacant or not. And even if you go to the law and the interpretation of statutes and stuff, you'll find that a vacancy on a board or a vacancy in a house, for as long as that vacancy does not affect the quorum, that house is quorate to conduct business. The challenge of the quorate house now is to realize the threshold for passing a motion. And if you look at our constitution article, I think it's Article 121, addresses quorum. Article 122 addresses threshold. And I believe that for us to be able to ventilate this question very well, I would associate myself with Senator Soti to request that the current motion, which is really putting us in a straitjacket, be withdrawn, and we be allowed to ventilate this thing the way we did in Kericho 2, whereby we hear the entire motion and then the PO is placed after people have understood the issues, then we vote first on the PO, and if it is sustained, the governor is acquitted. If it is defeated, then we go and vote on the individual, on the merits of the impeachment. But right now we run the risk of the PO being thrown out. Listen to the mood of the House, we discuss, we talk. The PO being thrown out, and then we shall be subsumed, we shall be forced to go into that motion and then vote without consideration of whether the thresholds required for the motion to be in this House to give us jurisdiction to address that motion was there or not. It is slightly dicey, and I'll be praying, Mr. Speaker, that either we amend this motion or we withdraw it and redraft it, because given the straitjacket I find myself in, I'm persuaded to defeat the motion, yet come out, but then also keep the governor's rights protected, so that if the governor's case is that he has been dragged here through the window, not through the front door, as the majority leader put it, then we still have the opportunity to listen to that argument in detail. And I hoped that this particular thing should have come as an application and not as a PO, because really it doesn't fit the description of a PO. But since we have argued it, it looks like an application for dismissal, and we could look at the application for dismissal after hearing. Thank you, Mr.
Senator Veronica.
Thank you.